The Millionaire raffle is back and better than ever with 1 millionaire guaranteed and over 5,500 cash prizes. With our best win odds ever, you can win it.
Cool.
Your half-brother can win it.
Excellent.
Your karate instructor can win it. Your granny who's learning ukulele can win it.
Oh, dear.
Even your opera-singing neighbour can win it. Just get a Millionaire raffle ticket before New Year's Day and you can win it. Play responsibly in-store or at lottery.ie.
Welcome into the Sportsmemo NFL Every Game on the Board podcast with our first guest up, Teddy Covers. Teddy, welcome to the pod. How are you?
Hey, Drew. What's a good word today, my friend?
Hey, we got Saturday games, Sunday games. You're hitting 67% NFL sides, 62% NFL year to date. You tell me, man. What am I missing?
Oh yeah, I mean it's been a real good run. We had a great start to the NFL season. The beginning, late October, beginning of November was pretty mediocre, and then we've been red hot since Thanksgiving. 73% since Thanksgiving, 4-1 last week. So see if we can keep it rolling, man. The NFL has been good. Although I'll tell you what, this week's card is not a deep one for me. There's not a lot that I see that I'm excited about. There are a handful of opportunities out there, but some weeks I got 7-8 games on my short list. This isn't one of those weeks.
Yeah, no, but I mean, we're getting late in the NFL season. It's an efficient market, the NFL, a lot of eyeballs on it. So as we get down here towards the playoffs, that makes sense. So you got to kind of shapen up your card. And hey, you've been doing it for years, Teddy. 58% since 2015. I don't really want to say anything. Not that I can say anything to help you, man. 58% over the last 3 years is good stuff. Let's get into the games. We got Saturday, 107-108 Washington. Tennessee, 37 the total. Looks like Tennessee laying 10 at home. What are you thinking about Washington, Tennessee, Teddy?
I mean, it's a pick your poison game here. All right. I cashed with both these teams last week. The Redskins, and the concept was Jacksonville can't be laying 9.5 or 7.5. Not, I want all my money on Washington right now. And I was right. The Jags couldn't be laying 7.5 in that game, and the Redskins ended up winning straight up and keeping their playoff hopes alive. It wasn't a bet on Washington as much as it was a bet against a team that had no business in that point spread range, being in that point spread range. Hence the bet and, of course, the winning ticket. But, that didn't make me excited to jump on the Redskins freight train. Washington is a bottom-tier NFL team at this stage. They're down to a fourth-string quarterback who, last week the two biggest plays were two tip passes. And they both bank error in your favor, ended up in Redskins' hands, one of which went for a touchdown, the other of which was an interception on the other side that saved the game at the end. But, yeah, Washington's live at 7-7 to make a run, but we know they're not good. They're a hard team for me to back, especially off a straight-up win. I don't think they can do it 2 weeks in a row. But, are you excited about laying doubles with Tennessee? I mean, even last week, in the game they dominated against the Giants, pulling teeth with that squad. Derrick Henry is the offense. And Henry said, 6 touchdowns and 400 yards the last 2 weeks. So you're going to have everything left in the tank here? And even if he does, the Titans are not built to win games by the margin. This is a defense and run football team. We're talking about double-digit spreads with Tennessee. Now I'm curious. I should have looked this up before I came in here. I want to know the last time the Titans covered doubles. Because I'm pretty sure it's been a while. I'm going to look that up while you're introducing the next game. They have not been double-digit favorites this year. The one time they were close, they played the Jets. They were laying 9 in that game. They won it by 4.
Guys, on sportsmemo.com, Teddy has his rest of NFL and college football season for $499. That gets you all the way through the Super Bowl, props package, national championship, both college and NFL, and it's just less than $500. But with coupon code FB199 at checkout, that's FB199, you can take $300. That's what we're doing at sportsmemo.com. You can take $300 off and just get his rest of the season for under $200. It's a hell of a deal. We'll run it for a couple more days. We said it on the opening line report. And we'll have it good for a couple more days here. FB199 at checkout. You can get Teddy's rest of NFL and college football season. As you'll hear here, he knows his stuff. 58% in the NFL, been good in college as well. And Teddy, or any handicapper, Teddy's a great choice. Coupon code FB199 at checkout. Get the rest of the NFL college football season on sportsmemo.com for less than $200. Teddy,
I went back and looked. I got to jump in. I went back and looked. The last time the Titans were double-digit favorites was 2013, the final year of the Mike Munchak era. Oh, they lost that game straight up at home to the Jags. The last time they covered as double-digit favorites, Jeff Fisher was their head coach. It wasn't even his last year. This is 2009. They were minus 14 against St. Louis and won that game 47-7. That's the last time the Tennessee Titans covered as double-digit favorites.
That doesn't make me want to bet Tennessee, Teddy.
Well, you could say they're due.
That is an angle. We'll see if it's good. Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. We got the night game. Baltimore at the LA Chargers. 44 the total. Looks like the Chargers laying 4, Teddy.
Yeah. I'm not excited about this game. I mean, this is going to be a fun game to watch. From a wagering standpoint, I think there are legit reasons to bet against both of these teams, which probably means I'm not going to get involved in this one. Chargers are coming up. It's not just a big win. That was an unbelievably big win for the Chargers. I'll say it's not just their biggest win of the season. It's probably one of the biggest wins of the Phillip Rivers era. Going into Arrowhead, trailing by 2 against a team that had beaten them, a divisional opponent that had beaten them 9 straight times with the division title on the line. If they lose, you're going for the 5 seed now. Good luck with the wild card chase. Instead, they rally from behind, 2 late touchdowns, the 2-point conversion, steal 1 at Arrowhead, and now they got to come home. Keep their heads about them. Now they're tied for the division lead. A team that hasn't been in the playoffs since 2013 under Mike McCoy. One playoff win dating back to 2008 when Norv Turner was still early in his tenure in LA. So, they're in something, I'm not going to say uncharted waters, but we haven't seen the Chargers in these spots. And they rally back to win that game, and they steal it in the last, minute, in the last seconds, convert on a 4th and long, survive a bunch of Phillip Rivers chucking it up into coverage, and no one intercepted it, thank goodness, and ends up with a 1-point win. Hey, good for the Chargers. Now they got to lay 4 to Baltimore. Baltimore plays defense. I'm not so sure this Chargers offense is going to be capable of moving the football as effectively. Keenan Allen's supposed to play. Melvin Gordon's supposed to play. We're going to see Chargers money at some point as these probables become upgraded into playing. Yes. And, of course, no one's looking at Baltimore. And people looking at Baltimore and saying this team's garbage. Look at their wins. They beat Cincy, Oakland, Atlanta, Tampa Bay since Lamar Jackson took over. That's not a who's who of good teams. But it's just the imagination. But the Ravens' defense is real. It's real in every way, shape, and form you can say a defense is real. And when you look at Phillip Rivers and how he's throwing the football and chucking it out into coverage, it's a defense that can make plays against him. And I worry about that. I worry about the spot for LA coming off that big win. But if Baltimore falls behind, they're dead. Lamar Jackson cannot pass them back into a ballgame. It's not going to happen. So if it's a 14, if the Chargers are up 14-3 midway through the second, Baltimore is already up against it. It's not an easy handicap. I'll just leave it at that. This is the game where, in my mind, it makes a lot of sense to live bet this game. If Baltimore can run the football, they're going to be live to win it. If they can't run the football effectively, they have a chance to get blown out. And I think that's going to be apparent in the first couple of drives of the ball game. So maybe one that you get involved with after kickoff, not before.
Teddy, on to the Sunday slate. December 23rd, 101-102, Tampa Bay, Dallas, 48 the total. Looks like the Cowboys laying 7 in Jerry's world.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Tampa last week. We talked about a bunch of teams last week. But we talked about the Bucs, and I was like, after the way they lost that game to the Saints, where they had them at halftime, and then the one block punt led to a complete collapse, meltdown in the second half of that ballgame, losing by 2 touchdowns. I'm like, I don't think this team is going to respond well to adversity. I worry about them on the highway at Baltimore. And the Ravens weren't capable of, putting the nail in their coffin They got the win. They won by 8. The line was 8, 8.5. Tampa, in many places, was graded with a W in that ball game. It didn't make me feel anything better about the Bucs that they lost that contest. And you're talking about a bad team with probably a lame duck head coach at the end of the season, heading on the road. I don't trust Tampa here, not even a little bit. The question is, do you want to lay a touchdown with Dallas? I mean, the Cowboys, of all the Dallas has been good at a bunch of roles this year. Long term, they've been lousy home favorites. And I know I got to cover with them in Philly on that game. Was that the Sunday night game when they played the Eagles? And yeah. And then I got I forget if it was Sunday afternoon or Sunday night. They all run together now, but in terms of what time the game was played. But the bottom line is I got a cover I didn't deserve with Dallas getting the touchdown in OT to win by 6. They got a cover they didn't deserve against the Redskins on Thanksgiving. A missed extra point got them the money there. It's not one of these home fields that you're like, yeah, I feel really good about laying this with Dallas. That being said, Dallas is a better team. I wouldn't be surprised if they smack them. And if I am playing this game, I would only look at the favorite, not the underdog. Even though Dallas got shut out last week, I'm not. It was a bad spot. They faced an underrated foe in Indy. This is not an underrated foe in Tampa, and it's a much better spot in a circle the wagons game for the Cowboys.
Teddy, I got a question for you. Tom Brady over under 0.5 Super Bowl championships here on
under.
Out. Okay.
Under.
So is the New England dynasty over?
Yes.
Well, we got Buffalo, New England, 44.5 the total. Looks like New England, 13.5 or 14, depending where you're shopping. Mostly 13.5s out there. What about Buffalo, New England, man?
Yeah, and I answered is the dynasty over a little bit too quickly because it's not like there's anyone else in this division that's about to step up and knock the Patriots off their perch. Maybe in 2019, it's possible. But, I mean, the loss of Josh Gordon matters for New England. I know he doesn't have a ton of big play touchdowns this season, but when you look at the Patriots, and their struggles, when they've struggled, they're struggling because Brady's under pressure and he can't get the ball out quickly. The running game hasn't been there at any point this season. Held under 100 rushing yards, 3 of their last 5 ball games. It's a team that has to throw the football to be successful. And when you're taking away a legitimate playmaker like Gordon, and I know he hasn't had a monster year, but he's been instrumental in New England's success. And yeah, wide receivers are plug and play, just like running backs are plug and play, and Brady's still Brady. Brady's old. All that being said, betting against New England at home in December has not exactly been a money-winning proposition, and it's certainly circle the wagons time for a team that has proven to be capable of circling the wagons. And it's a Bills team that, when things go south for Buffalo, it gets ugly. The 41-9 loss to Chicago, the 47-3 loss to Baltimore, the 22-0 loss at Green Bay, the 37-5 loss at Indy. I mean, on and on down the line. When you're seeing when this team's outclassed, like they were against New England, in the first meeting between the two, 25-6, the Patriots get the win and cover. But when Buffalo's outclassed, they're hopeless. They haven't been outclassed of late. Who they played? The Jets, the Jags, the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Lions the last 5 weeks. They only covered 2 point spreads during that span. Won 3 of the games in straight-up fashion. No blowout losses, obviously, during that stretch. And none of the teams they were playing was good enough to blow them out. New England might be good enough to blow them out. They're certainly a team that has had plenty of success against the Bills in recent seasons. Certainly a New England spot in that regard, with Buffalo coming off a rare victory thanks to a missed extra point and a missed field goal from normally reliable Matt Prater. But I'm not excited about the concept of laying a big price with New England even in this spot. I'm really not. Patriots have covered a couple double-digit spreads this year. They were 14 in the first meeting against the Bills, covered there. They covered 13 against the Jets. They covered 11 against the Colts. But, of course, their last time as big chalk against Miami, well, we all know what happened in that game. They didn't sniff a point spread cover there.
No, and lost in one of the more exciting finishes in South Florida, where they have had trouble. Although heading back home, it's a tough one, Teddy. I mean, 13, it's a big number, but
I can only take Buffalo. Let me make it clear. I can only take Buffalo in this game. I do not want the Patriots this week.
Teddy, next game up, we got Carolina. Sounds like without Cam Newton, and I'm kind of mad about it. I was looking to fade him because I was thinking he's injured, and it's kind of like fading a starting pitcher in MLB. You get a game or two where you can really kind of go against them. But in this one, we got Atlanta, Carolina, NFC South matchup. Used to be a big matchup. This year, not so much. 3.5 Falcons laying on the road. 43.5 the total.
Yeah, Taylor Heineke is going to be the QB. In his third season out of Old Dominion, the guy was a good college quarterback.
He was, really good.
And from the preseason, he wasn't someone that stood out to me in any way as being a guy who I wanted my money on. I would have loved to have faded the Panthers with Newton as favorites this week. That was my favorite game on the board, and of course, easy come, easy go. Atlanta now 3.5 in terms of road chalk at Carolina, and we saw the Falcons come to play last week, and Atlanta is not a team that I think I don't think there's a coaching change in Atlanta this offseason. I don't think that at all. It is what it is for the Falcons. It's not a tear down rebuild spot. It's hey, we had a bunch of injuries and it wasn't a good year, but Dan Quinn will be back, Matt Ryan will be back, and for teams like that down the stretch, you expect the effort to be there. That being said, we've seen this team. You want to talk about highway struggles? Repeated highway struggles this season from week one. Remember that game at Philly? They had the Eagles on the ropes, couldn't get it done there. They got blown out at Pittsburgh. They got annihilated at Cleveland. The Thursday night game in New Orleans on Thanksgiving, where they turned the ball over again and again. At Green Bay, they lose by 2 touchdowns. Atlanta's not an easy team to back as chalk on the highway right now, even with the Panthers in the midst of a particularly ugly stretch run. Carolina's been in all of these games. There hasn't been one of them that got blown out. The Pittsburgh game on the Thursday night on the short week. But since then, they lost by 1, 3, 7, 6, and 3. Not a lot of weapons for Heineke to deal with, though. That's Heineke to deal with. That's my biggest concern here. But I'll tell you this, Atlanta at +3 is a great bet. Atlanta -3.5, not so much.
Makes sense, Teddy. We got all Florida
Julio
matchup.
Jones, by the way. Sorry, Julio Jones has been upgraded to probable for the Falcons. Also, sparking some of the, it was moved to 3, and then Jones is in, and Munnerlyn may not play for the Panthers either, and that would be a big loss if Julio Jones does play for the Falcons.
Teddy, we got a low total here. Jacksonville, Miami, 38. Looks like the Dolphins laying 4 in Hard Rock Stadium. How would you look to bet the Jags and Dolphins?
Well, I've been betting against the Jags pretty regularly. It's a great success.
Yeah.
In that regard, I bet against the Jags at Buffalo, bet against them. I did lose the game against Indy where they got the 2 field goals, and that was enough. But I bet against them against Tennessee. I bet against them against Washington last week, and I'm really tempted to bet against them here. I don't know who out there thought that Cody Kessler was an answer. Cody Kessler was terrible in the preseason. Blake Bortles won the job. All right. And here's 3 games with Kessler as starting quarterback. They scored 1 offensive touchdown in those 3 games. Jacksonville is a bottom feeder. And I was reading something today where there's someone telling me, the articles, the Jags defense is better than you think it is. And, Jacksonville, they're coming to play. All right, yeah, knock yourself out, dude. Go, fall in love with those season-long stats in the Jags. The defense is okay, sure. Their offense isn't. And if you can't score points, you can't win in the NFL. Miami's offense is okay. They had a mother of all flat spots last week in Minnesota. They played like it. They were coming off that crazy win against the Patriots that we keep referencing. And getting back, 7-6 and back in playoff contention. It was a huge win for them, and they play like garbage in Minnesota. They've been good at stealing games at home all year against teams like the Jaguars. Miami's been surprisingly good at stealing games like this. Now, it's all smoke and mirrors. Dolphins are, big plays and a bunch of interceptions, by Xavier Howard, who did make the Pro Bowl. He deserved to. God, he better have made the Pro Bowl. He was the Dolphins' best defensive player by far on a weak defense. Worth noting, you run into some of these team trends and totals and angles, and every once in a while I find one that's worthy of note. This one is Dolphins' awful loss in which they never had the lead. 0-18, their last 18 tries as favorites in the next game. So Miami off a loss in Minnesota in which they never had the lead, and now they are back home laying points to the Jags, and they have not been good in this role to the tune of 18 straight point spread losses.
All right, good way to end that one, Teddy. We got New York Giants at the Indianapolis Colts up next. 47 the total. Looks like the Colts, Andrew Luck and company, 8.5 or 9, depending where you shop.
Yeah, this line's getting bet up as we speak. I'm seeing 9.5. Is there a 10 out there yet?
Other than 5 dimes, but I don't like to give them credit for doing what they do. So
yeah, I'm showing Penny with a 10 at plus juice.
Okay.
So there are a handful of 10s out there. The OBJ got announced as out today, so there's been some Indy money trickling in with the Giants playing without their best weapon, and of course the Giants. Maybe their second best weapon, because Barkley's their best weapon right now already. Giants, of course, they moved the football last week, kind of, and then struggled in the red zone, struggled with turnovers. That's what they've been doing. Ended up getting shut out by Tennessee. Now off a shutout loss, a bad team late in the season on the road against a playoff contender. And the Giants' little winning streak, where again they beat San Fran and Tampa and the Redskins, and they had the one impressive win in the mother of all bad spots against Chicago. But it's not like they're beating the elite teams. I do not trust the Giants to step up and play well here. But in terms of point spread bargains, I mean, Indy's been a real moneymaker from having betting against the Jags and betting on the Colts in one way or another on a pretty consistent basis in recent weeks. Cashed with them against the Texans, cashed them against the Cowboys last week. But now we're looking at very different point spread range. In fact, they haven't laid this much all year. The bargains for backing the Colts have come and gone, and in this price range, I'm not going to get to the window with them. I'll tell you flat out. Back door could be open for the Giants, and I worry about coming off the win against Houston and the win against Dallas. They got the huge matchup at Tennessee next. You worry about Indy taking a breath here, winning the game, but maybe not winning it by margin.
Guys, huge discount. Teddy covers rest of NFL and college football season, over 60% off, $300 off, FB199 at checkout at sportsmemo.com. You can get the rest of his NFL and college football season for less than $200. No extra charges later. Get you all the way through the Super Bowl, national championship, props package, all that. Coupon code FB199 at checkout. We got Houston, Philadelphia up next. Teddy, it looks like pretty competitively priced game here, seeing ones and a halves. That's Philadelphia Eagles laying at home. Nick Foles now kind of catching steam again. Interesting what he was able to do last year. Can he do it again this year? 46 the total, Teddy.
The markets are sure pointing in that direction.
Yeah.
Where there's been a lot of Philadelphia money this week, and when you're winning straight up as 13-point dogs on the road to keep your playoff hopes alive, and now that's 3 of the last 4 that Philly has won when everything looked like it was hopeless after that loss to the Saints, where the game was over in the first quarter. We've seen the Eagles come to life. We certainly saw an offense last week move the football in a way they hadn't been doing with Carson Wentz behind center. And the defense was all over that. In terms of the pass rush, the defense was all over Jared Goff. All that being said, that was last week. In a very meaningful game. Now do it again. This hasn't been a particularly strong home field this season. We've seen them lose at home to Carolina. Remember the Panthers stole that. The Cowboys came in and beat them up pretty good. It's not like this Eagles home field is, you can't bet against Philly at home. That was last year. It's not like the Texans can't go on the road and win. They've done that on a consistent basis. It's not like Philly has fixed their secondary. The last 2 weeks they've given up close to 780 passing yards. It's not like the defense is in much better shape now than they were, and Houston can chuck the football around. The question is about Lamar Miller this week, and I don't worry too much normally about running backs in the NFL. Alfred Blue is not good. He came in last 9 carries for 6 yards last week against the Jets. Miller's a difference maker. If Houston can be balanced, they can win this game without they can win this game. If it's all Watson making plays, it may be a little more difficult for them to get the job done in a back-to-back road spot, coming off a 7-point win that somewhat fraudulent. Let's put it that way. The win against the Jets last week, but again, the Texans making plays when they have to. But Deshaun Watson has been getting clobbered back there. He's been sacked at least 3 times in each of the Texans' last 5 ball games, which is bad news against a strong Eagles pass rush.
Teddy, we got one game left here, 10 a.m. Pacific kick, 1:15, and that's one game left on this segment. We'll have Robbie Vino in tomorrow to finish off the NFL Every Game on the Board podcast. But we got Minnesota at Detroit. Looks like the Vikings laying 6 on the highway, 42.5 the total.
Yeah, and when we talked about this game on Monday in the opening line report podcast, I said, hey, my powering number was 3. The look-ahead line was 3. I went back and doubled it. I'm not usually this far off at this stage of the season, and here it is. It's 5.5, and it's only going up, and and here it is 6. And again, that's Minnesota off of 1 win at home against the Vikings, against the Dolphins team we just talked about being in the mother of all bad spots. Coming off the win over New England, and Lions lost a game at Buffalo. They were the better team in that game. Prater missed an extra point and a field goal, a makeable field goal. It wasn't like a 60-yarder or anything. It was like a 40-yarder to win the game, and he just missed it. The Lions lose. That doesn't mean Detroit's hopeless. This doesn't mean Minnesota, who's been mediocre all year, is suddenly a juggernaut because they were able to run the football effectively. The Lions' run defense has actually been pretty good lately, and of course, we've seen what happens to Minnesota when they do not run the football effectively. However, when these two teams met earlier in the season, the Vikings ate up Matthew Stafford was something of an understatement. 10 sacks for Minnesota in that ballgame. Lions had 155 passing yards and got clobbered. It was a non-competitive defeat, 24-9 final. They're capable of doing it here, but the price isn't right for Minnesota. It really isn't. There's not a lot of like about the Lions here, but from a value standpoint, Minnesota is being priced like a must-win team, and you have to lay a premium. They're going to back the Vikings here. Value standpoint, it'd be Detroit, but taking Detroit right now requires a leap of faith, my friend. The Lions have not, even at home, have not been a good point spread team.
Teddy, 58% since 2015 in the NFL, 62% year-to-date. Great choice here. And guys, with the coupon code FB199 at checkout, you can get the rest of his NFL and college football season for under $200. That's a hell of a discount at sportsmemo.com, FB199 at checkout. Teddy, what's on the docket this weekend? We got Monday NFL opening line report. We on for that?
Yeah, hey, man, Christmas Eve, I don't care. I'm ready to work Christmas Eve. It's in the morning. It's Christmas Eve morning. You ready to do Monday OLR?
Yeah, let's do it. So awesome, we'll have it up early.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll do it first thing Monday morning for you guys so you have it up. I know no one wants to spend too much time on Christmas dealing with this stuff. But I also said on Monday that we wouldn't have look-ahead lines. We do have look-ahead lines. The Westgate Superbook put them out for the first time, I believe, this week. So we'll have those to discuss as well on Monday. And, of course, for the weekend, I'm locked and loaded already with 3 College Bowl winners. You can get that in a trifecta form. And, of course, the complete NFL report. It's not going to be a deep report this week, I'm telling you. 1 or 2 plays in the NFL this week. It's going to be fairly light, but we got strong. You can check it out at sportsmemo.com. It'll all be posted by 9 a.m. Pacific time on Friday morning.
Low volume, strong plays. That's a good ring to it, Teddy. And tomorrow we'll be back with Robbie Vino, NFL. Every Game on the Board podcast to finish it off. Also have a segment with Brent Crow we're trying to start on Fridays on the huge Saturday college basketball card. We'll have that up later tomorrow as well, so make sure to check that out. And then obviously, like Teddy said, on Christmas Eve we'll have a NFL opening line report podcast, and we'll probably take Tuesday off for Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody out there, and then be back with regular scheduling on Wednesday. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk tomorrow.
The Millionaire raffle is back and better than ever with 1 millionaire guaranteed and over 5,500 cash prizes. With our best win odds ever, you can win it.
Cool.
Your half-brother can win it.
Excellent.
Your karate instructor can win it. Your granny who's learning ukulele can win it.
Oh, dear.
Even your opera-singing neighbour can win it. Just get a Millionaire raffle ticket before New Year's Day and you can win it. Play responsibly in-store or at lottery.ie. The Millionaire raffle is back and better than ever with 1 millionaire guaranteed and over 5,500 cash prizes. With our best win odds ever, you can win it.
Cool.
Your half-brother can win it.
Excellent.
Your karate instructor can win it. Your granny who's learning ukulele can win it.
Oh, dear.
Even your opera-singing neighbour can win it. Just get a Millionaire raffle ticket before New Year's Day and you can win it. Play responsibly in-store or at lottery.ie.